Welcome to Kahoma Community College Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning podcast. I am your host, Dr. Ouida McAfee, and today we have with us Dr. Darrell Burrell. Welcome, Dr. Burrell.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I want to tell the audience a bit about you. Dr. Darrell Norman Burrell is an associate professor in the Gilling School of Global Public Health at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Dr. Burrell is a doctoral level assistant professor at Marymount University. For more than 12 years, he also has served on doctoral committees and research panels at the Florida Institute of Technology, Capital Technology University, University of Liverpool, and the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. He is a remote visiting scholar at the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Institute for Leadership, Equity, and Justice at Rutgers University, where he is doing research on diversity and inclusion in healthcare and technology. Dr. Burrell is a certified diversity professional and a certified executive coach. He is an alumnus of the Presidential Management Fellows Program with the U.S. federal government and U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, where he managed and developed leadership and diversity programs for professionals in public health, environmental health, emergency response, technology, and engineering. So we're going to jump right into our topic today, Dr. Burrell, about professional development as an educator. Professional development as an educator. So what are your thoughts about scholarly activities for all professionals at a community college?
So, one of the things that I think is a misnomer that's out there that people on a community college level just teach, and that's really what their duties are. But in order to be an effective teacher and in order to really inform your practice, I think scholarly activities are important. There are some people at community college doing some phenomenal things in the classroom in terms of flipping the classroom, doing some phenomenal things in the classroom in terms of teaching and learning. And as we embark on this post COVID-19 environment, there are a lot of students that have taken subjects that were historically taught, face to face and have morphed them into hybrid, Zoom, and other online versions. So as an end result, one scholarly activity is writing papers around those best practices or presenting at conferences where you can share those ideas with other community college teachers and instructors.
Okay. What about joining scholarly communities, like online discussion groups and so forth?
Well, I think that that's a professional development thing. Joining scholarly communities is important. I think the whole premise is your ability to network with other scholars and share knowledge and collaborate with other scholars. One of the things that we tend to forget is we think the only education part is one way from faculty member to student. But I think we're teaching other faculty members, we're learning from other faculty members. So just like we're instructors, we're also students too, and always trying to improve and develop our craft.
Okay, let's talk some more about that, about continuous development and developing our craft. What are some examples of that?
So um, when I talk about scholarly activities and communities, a lot of times attending workshops and attending conferences to get insight from other scholars as to how they teach. The other thing about groups is being able to be on groups where you can ask questions. I think LinkedIn is a great opportunity where there's groups that deal with everything, where you could say, I'm a new teacher. What do you recommend for this? And you have a whole wealth of other people with experience that can share resources and other information with you.
Okay. How do you develop an approach to peer review publishing and scholarship?
So one of the things is I also think there's a myth that you have to do complex empirical research to be published. There are a lot of teaching and learning journals that will take teaching cases where you talk about, approach using classroom. I'm working on an article with some colleagues right now where they're all in a school of business and we're taking each one of them. It's two articles. One article is we're taking each one of them is we're taking the ways that they're teaching their various subject in business and what they're doing from an experiential learning standpoint. And we're putting them in vignettes on each discipline. And then we're including theories on teaching and learning, and things around experiential education. Along with that, we're going to put that together and make that an academic paper. Another one we're working on is like things that you did before COVID and things that you are doing after COVID, right? So
Mhm.
how did your classroom evolve pre-COVID and post-COVID? And so, that's another conversation and discussion that we're turning into an article. And then I think the other thing that you're looking at is, if you're seeing things around your discipline that concern you or that you're interested in or you think need to be evolved and discussed, taking various things around your discipline. Like, for example, I teach in public health. I was realizing that reading about how domestic violence had increased as a result of COVID. And so, really, what I wanted to do was to write an article about domestic violence as a public health issue. And so, as an end result, I essentially developed that article and wrote that article around those concepts
Interesting. You
and sent
mentioned
it to a journal and got it published.
awesome. That is a great example. So, talk to us a little bit more about. You said you work with your colleagues. Talk to us about networking, especially as it relates to in an HBCU environment. Talk to us about networking and how you get these colleagues to work with and to share ideas with.
So, networking is important. It's a lot easier for you to have 5 people that write 3 pages on a paper each than for you to sit out and try to write 18 or 15 pages on your own. And so when you have a network, you can help each other. All of us are at different stages in our career. I try to help junior scholars that have no experience break in. I try to help students. I publish with students. There's papers I could have published on my own. I let a student help me. It helps build their confidence. It brings them in the fold. One of the things we've got to get away from is it's my research, it's my thing, and you're doing it in a silo or doing it in a vacuum. I think the ability to add people to your scholarship, even people from different fields that can bring their different lens to it, I think adds power to what you're doing as a researcher. The days are gone where we just sit in one discipline and that's all we do. I think interdisciplinary scholarship is a real thing that we should think about. When you start to think about COVID and how we solved it, we didn't just solve it with MDs. We needed people from all fields to come out and help us develop solutions around addressing COVID and keeping people safe. And so you're only as strong as your network, and your network provides knowledge and information that allows you, to pursue the things that you want to pursue.
Excellent point. We're talking with Dr. Darrell Burrell about professional development as an educator. Dr. Burrell, what is it that you want to make sure that we know before you leave us today?
Well, I think that's important that, to get your voice out there. If you're just getting your doctorate or your master's and you're teaching and you're not having discussions outside your classroom, I think it's a missed opportunity. We live in a knowledge economy. You're going to be promoted, developed, given opportunities based on your knowledge. And so your ability to share knowledge is a critical part of being an academic and being a scholar. And I think, the apprehension to do so or being overwhelmed by it, you just start. I know when I first started publishing, I didn't know what I was doing. I was on my own, and then I realized I needed other people to kind of teach me and help me. And now I publish articles with other people and develop articles together as a group. And so that ability to navigate and work with others is critical. I also think it's important, again, to put your voice out there. If you're a woman or person of color, there's ways in which you see dynamics that are happening in the workplace, in your field, in your discipline, that is not a loud voice or not does not have a lot of representation out there. So part of your opportunity is to be able to step out there and share those ideas and add a different voice to the discussion, that might be important or it might be significant for people to look at. And I think that that's critical too. So, again, you have knowledge, share your knowledge, not just in your classroom, but step out there and publish. One of the key things I tell people about scholarship is you also want to be careful. There are a lot of what they call predatory journals out there where you can send your paper and they'll charge you a fee to publish and they'll say it's peer reviewed and it's not. There's a list on the internet you can get as a list of predatory journals where they'll say it's indexed somewhere and it's not indexed anywhere. It's just on their website. And you might have a good piece of scholarship that, a lot of people don't see. Part of that process is check with Google Scholar. You should have a Google Scholar profile. The cool thing about a Google Scholar profile is you start to be able to show your citations. So as people download your publications, your citations and things show up, and you're able to see those things. And I think it's important because when people are out there, there's been a lot of things in higher ed where people say that a lot of times people of color scholarship is not valued on the same level or people don't perceive it. But if you can show that people are citing your work on your Google Scholar, then that's your evidence there that your work and your research is valuable and important. So not just publishing, creating a Google Scholar profile. Another one you should create is an ORCID profile. And then the other one is academia.edu and ResearchGate. Those are profiles that you should create and develop that I think are important and critical.
Dr. Darrell Norman Burrell, thank you for joining us today.
Sure.